What's going on, guys? I got a video today covering a handful of commercials that I found that I thought were weird, sort of mocking, symbolistic, just telling in some type of way, very strange, or just strange, however you want to think about it. I called it Illuminati commercial compilation, but you don't have to just think about it. You can just think about it however you want. I don't know if I'm going to play these with the audio because of copyright strikes. I'm going to try to avoid those. So this guy, I'll just kind of narrate it, and I'll say what he says for the most part. He's like, "Hello, Earth. We know you find TV irresistible." And again, this is one that's kind of mocking. So, the idea is, first off, why is it a conspiracy? Well, is the television used as a tool of like mass persuasion? Of course it is. Is that persuasion like nefarious? I would say so. If you look up at like how psychological warfare works, it's basically, it follows this rule, this principle, and it's like, through the control of information, you can basically download values, principles, culture, and you can control people's values, principles, perceptions of reality, perceptions of self, perceptions of what they think is cool and not cool, like I said, values, and ultimately control their actions or greatly influence their actions. Because if you basically download a worldview and a view of self into people's brains, like if the brain is like a programmable machine, which it kind of is, you can think about it like that. They give you certain information, and they basically create a person that they want to create. And it's usually not them trying to necessarily uplift you. I'll just put it like that. And this is in the playbook of psychological warfare. It's basically like, okay, through the control of information, we can control how people think, feel, and act. That's really what it comes down to. What does that have to do with this? Well, this is a commercial for Hulu. He's like, "We know you find Hulu or TV irresistible. We're gonna, he's on Hollywood. He goes down. Obviously, it's being theatrical, over the top. He's on Hollywood. He goes to this secret underground base. It's got like scientists, right? And that's actually not that far of a stretch. Like how it's come out. If you look up like in the development of social media, this isn't television, but it happened with television, I guarantee it. But with the development of like social media websites like Facebook, they literally have like neuroscientists, brain scientists working side by side with like computer engineers and everything to basically kind of be able to like build addiction and like attraction into the machine. They get all kinds. Same with the food. They have like scientists working with the food and stuff. It's not. Again, that's just me. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm using this commercial as proof of that. You can go watch the interviews, but it's just interesting how he goes under Hollywood, and it's like a underground base with dudes in lab coats. Get Hulu Plus. He says this is your brain on Hulu, right? Like that classic anti-drug commercial where that girl puts the egg in the frying pan. Like, this is your brain on drugs, right? And they're kind of spoofing that, and it says this is your brain on Hulu, and it's being cooked. Here's your brain on Hulu Plus, right? It's being boiled in like green. He's like, oh, just a minute, it's almost done to perfection. Here's your brain on Hulu Plus. He puts it in a blender, and he says, so again, it's like brainwash, brain damaging. again, it's cultural subversion is what it is. It's very simple, and if you can't see Hollywood slash entertainment slash music slash movies slash televisions, I love the meaning that can be found in all those things, but for the most part nowadays it's used as a tool of subversion. And again, they do that by basically downloading artificial thoughts, emotions, and actions and values into people that are basically going to work out to their overall advantage in the long run. And you can see those things. They set up the parameters for like political debate, like the left-right paradigm, right? Like they keep people boxed in. They basically set up the fences of thought. They put you in a box. And you see that in the way people talk and debate ideas, what they even talk about, what they're even willing to hear or listen to, like what's ridiculous and not ridiculous, how they dress, how they speak, all of it. It's actually tangible. Like it's not just like invisible stuff. It's actually like real things, like how they dress and stuff. Like you can actually see some of this stuff. And then also, I think when you're more aware of like, there's so many documentations about, and this isn't a video about television. I'm just trying to show you how these commercials are showing you something that's actually real. There's a quote by I think Brzezinski. He's a big new. I always hate pronouncing this guy's name. Zabrinsky. He said, I think he had a quote in one of his books. It could have been someone else, but this quote is real. It's like the public will come to a point where if they don't hear something on television, they won't believe that it's real. So, and it's like it's almost become like a prophet or a god or something like that. And you know, television station people are kind of aware. You know, with this last election, although I do believe it's controlled and it's basically staged. You know, like the whole fake news movement. Like, people are getting more critical of journalists, as they should. At least, you know, mainstream journalists. But I don't think that I think that people think that that means the liberal media, unfortunately. Like, they're not going far enough with it, I would argue. That's why I believe it's staged. Like, people are already organically getting more distrusting in the media, so they had to basically set up like a net for it and, you know, have an artificial, like, controlled opposition, right? That's what that is. And anyways, again, they're just showing you, and the funny part is, right, when he says here, he's like, oh, he's drinking your brain out of a smoothie, out of a blender. They have like a Paris Hilton thing. It's like, that's hot. Like, she says that. Like, they voice in that vocal clip. And it just goes to show you, that's like, if you had to like think of like an archetypally classic dumb television figure to point to, it'd probably be like the Kardashians. No hate against them, but that's just like the classic point. I'm not saying they're the cause of this. I'm not saying Paris Hilton's the cause of this. But if you had to point to like a classic figure that represents like trash television, it would probably be someone like Kardashian or Paris Hilton. So it's kind of funny how they're like aware of that in a commercial that shows a dude in a suit talking about taking over the world, and he's blending up human brains and eating them. And then he has a snake right there, if you see it, slither out of his jacket. Or his coat or whatever, his suit. Very, to me it's very telling. And again, man, if you tell people stuff that they haven't seen on TV, and how it comes down to a science thing, back to the lab coat, like the flicker rate, it's almost mesmerizing, especially with children. If you've ever seen a child look at a piece of technology, and next time someone's looking at technology, like a television or a video game or an iPad, and you're not like basically entranced by it, like watch them, and just kind of like look how they look at it. Like you know, you have to kind of like almost like sometimes it's like with not even disrespect. I love my family, but like you have to kind of like yell to get their attention out of the TV. And I can tell like it. For example, when there's no television on in my family's like living room, there's more communication amongst the family, like between us. We're all talking and stuff. And then when the TV's on, it kind of sucks And I've noticed that not even just with my family, with like friends in the past and stuff too. I've noticed that like when that stuff's on, it like basically sucks your attention into it, sucks your energy. And there's like a technology side to that, like with the lights and the sound and the flickering. Like I think there's an actual like science behind it. One that I know of for a fact, if you pay attention to a lot of I know I'm making this video about television now almost because of this one commercial, but if you pay attention to television's frame cutting, like when the frame jumps, they know the human attention span's about 7 seconds. So roughly every I think I could be wrong about that, but roughly every like 7 seconds or shorter, maybe a little longer, they'll jump frame because the change in picture keeps you refreshed, it keeps you looking at it. They actually like scientifically implemented that into like TV editing. They don't want to have too many still shots for too long because, again, the frame jumps, the frame cuts. I'm telling you, man, it's not just because they want it to look edited and nice. They're doing that on purpose. It's a technique, and I don't do that. I don't do that in my video. Not that like I think that's like the most evil part of it. I think the most evil part of it is that they have an agenda to like basically create programmable humans. You know. Ray Kurzweil, Brzezinski again, they talk about biological androids. What do you think they're talking about? They mean they're brainwash, mind control? That's what it is. They're talking about downloading you in the way that they see fit. Anyways, so now we have a droid commercial. I spent a lot of time on that one. This will be fast. Again, this is another technology one, weirdly. I think a lot of these have to do with technology. This is a Droid DNA phone. So I get it, you know, based on the name. That's kind of why they're shaping the commercial like this. But if you look at it, this dude's in a lab. They put a freaking phone like in his heart or in his bloodstream. And the phone, the technology, these nano machines or whatever are actually, this black goo is actually becoming a part of this guy's DNA. And you know, we talk about technology controlling and stuff, and like a lot of that's metaphorical and cultural and psychological, but we could actually see a point in the future in our lifetime, if you're young enough, to where technology is going to actually be integrated into our bodies. And I think that's what this commercial, look, it's in his brain now, it's linked up to his brain, his heart, his chest, his DNA. And you know, this guy's borderline cyborg. This is transhumanism. This is the singularity, right? 4G droid DNA. So I get, you know, I understand that the phone's called the DNA, so that's why they're using some of this imagery. But it also speaks to an actual thing that's going on in reality, and there's words for it. You know, singularity, transhumanism, stuff like that. And again, like I said, we talk about technology having extreme psychological / cultural, emotional, political influence, but now we're talking about physiologically. And if you look at guys like Aldous Huxley, he talks about in Brave New World, he said, I think we'll see a tyranny in the future that doesn't only control us like through all the methods I just listed a moment ago, but actually controlling us physiologically through drugs, right, and also through technology. And I think the tyrannies of the future will be like nothing of the past. And the point that he made, I have a video on here, the point that he made about all this is that they'll actually be able to make people love their slavery through the physiological control, through the biological control, through the cultural and psychological programming as well too. Like you could just be taught that this is what's okay, like no freedom, right? Things like that. This is just how it's always been, how it's supposed to be. You know, give people no. Again, we're talking about the control of information, psychological warfare. Give people no historical context, no reference point. You know, your founding fathers were evil, all that crap, whatever. So. Again, we see, that's all I have to say about this one anyways. The phone's part of his DNA, whatever. Here's a car commercial for a scion or something. I'm forgetting what it's called, but you know, it's talking about, it's showing everyone as sheeple. This is us. It's literally, these are the consumers. This is us. So like again, we're talking about mocking in a commercial. Like, you know, look up if you want to see it for yourself, because I don't want to play it because of copyright. Look up like Little Deviant Scion, SCION car commercial. And so these little deviants, these like demon looking guys, are preying upon the sheeple, right? That's us, the humans, these demons. Again, you can look at this literally, spiritually, psychologically, metaphorically, however you want. It's just weird. Like, this is a car. What does this have to do with cars? Right? To me, this is full-fledged mockery. Like, I almost didn't think they'd actually go as far as doing the sheeple thing. Like, actually showing us as cattle and, like, livestock. But they did it. And, so here's one. He takes the dude's skin. The demon takes the sheeple's skin off and puts it on and goes around and pretends to be one and leads the... Dude, this is so messed up. I'm watching this again as I'm scrolling through it with you guys for the first time in a long time. And notice the X. I'm not trying to get too far into symbology, but if you notice all the deviants' eye on their fucking face, pardon my language, but there's a black X. That's Saturn. I'm going to do a video about Saturn symbolism 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 at this point, because I have so much content on it. And in 2 and 3, specifically, I talk a lot about the X. And especially 3. And I'm telling you, man, it's just layers upon layers of information. They have the big X, black X on their face. Again, the point is, if you don't appreciate symbolism, just look at it another way. You don't have to really care for that. Although I do think it's just the cherry on the shit sundae. It always shows you exactly who these people are. And so this is a car commercial. Keep in mind, man. This dude this demon kills a guy, a human, puts on his skin, a sheeple skin, and he does this. He's beckoning them all down the alley. So it's like a false leader, a false prophet, you know, false shepherd. He's leading them down the alley, and guess who's waiting for him? Oh yeah, all the other guys. And they all get killed. And here's the sheeple running out to the car. And here's the demon, and it kills him. And they use his head as a hood ornament. So, again, what this has to do with a car commercial? I guess their point is like, oh wow, our car is so not like, it's so like hip and like not mainstream. It's so cool, you know. It's so outside all the boring, typical crap. So they want to show that by humans being sheeple and demons killing them and putting on their skin and leading other humans down to slaughter. Find the little deviants at scion.com. Anyways, man, to me that one's just, that's almost, I don't have an explanation for that. To me that's just insulting, but whatever, man. People probably bought that car because of that too. Okay, this one's the most recent one, right? This is Celine Dion. I don't even know what this commercial was for. Maybe it was just a political commercial, like a political statement, right? They are not really our children. As we are all just links in a never-ending chain that is life. For us, they are everything. But in reality, we are only a fraction of their universe. Did I miss something? Fraction of the universe. Miss the past. We miss the past. They dream of tomorrow. Just the way the video jumps when I'm not actually playing the audio. Skip some of the words. So, we miss the past. They dream of tomorrow. We may thrust them forward into the future. But of course, but the course will always be theirs to choose. So Celine Dion comes in dressed in all black, like Saturn, of course. Why is she dressed in black? Why is it always black? I don't know. So you can, think about what she's saying. They're not really ours. Blah blah blah. Like, I'll leave that up to you to what to think about it. What I really wanted to highlight was this part in the end. Okay, and maybe she has points in the opening monologue, but this is how she's gonna. I don't know. I don't know how this really adds to what she was saying. This is the part I wanted to show you guys all. She opens this black dust, this black powder, sprinkles it out amongst all the boys. You can clearly see it's divided, male and female, left and right. She sprays. What the heck, man? She sprays this black powder all over the babies, right? This, to me, man, there's no more. You have to be willfully ignorant at this point if you don't give the quote-unquote conspiracy theorists some credence. Okay, first, it's going to get worse, but and again, I'm going to explain some of the symbolism, and some of it you might not appreciate, but if you don't care for symbolism, then just watch the video and think about what this is. So she sprays all this black powder all over these children, and then now you have these creepy dolls. Look at this over here. That doesn't look nice. It doesn't look like a nursery. It doesn't look pleasant. Doesn't look like what a kid would want to be playing with. They purposely are making this look creepy. You got this weird dog thing over here. This weird glowing-eyed alien creature. Another one right there. Why? Just for the sake of it, I'm going to see what those were, if they even were there in the first place. Yeah, they weren't even there. Those things weren't even there. I thought maybe they changed from a nice little puppy dog to that thing. Excuse me. But very strange how these little weird shadowy figures, stuffed animals, now appear in the background. There's another one right there. The kicker is, okay, so the point obviously is the gender bending crap again, the feminizing of men, or the feminizing of men, and the making women more masculine, or don't classify. There is no difference between men and women, and I'm not going to talk about that for too long. And it's not a homophobic thing, it's not a transphobic thing, but you see how this is a cultural agenda. It's not oh, this is just how people are. There's an element of influence here through information, psychologically and culturally, and also physiologically. I have videos of marine biologists, right, showing how this is a mainstream news report. This isn't conspiracy theory. There's a marine biologist, a scientist that studies life in the water, and most of you probably already got that. But anyways, there was estrogen leaking into the water, and the men were developing female sex tissue. The male fish were actually becoming feminine through the estrogen in the water. I know most people are going to think Alex Jones, oh, I don't like him putting chemicals in the water that turn the frickin' frogs gay. But there's an actual element of truth to that. Atrazine is what he was talking about. But in this case, we're talking about estrogen. And if you actually look, there was another mainstream news report. So if it does that to fish, and then there was another mainstream news report that showed how there was estrogen in the lining of cans and other food packaging as a preservative. And if you think about this is just one aspect. I don't even know how badly we're getting messed with chemically through our food and water into the air. It's probably disgusting if you knew the truth behind it. It's probably really, honestly, horrifying. This is just one example how I'm showing you how this gay/trans thing isn't necessarily a matter of being hateful or not. How the news sets up the parameters of thought. No one's actually having an honest look at mental health and influence and mind control and chemical alterations in our body through our DNA and through our physiology. And this is just a strange commercial, man. Very freaking strange how all these little weird stuffed animals appear after she blows the dust. No more man and woman. There is no difference, right? And like I told you, that's the part of the reason we're being exposed to a lot of estrogen, at least in this one example I'm giving you. And that's one reason why you could see why young women are actually becoming more feminine. Like women, for example, women are hitting like puberty at younger, like girls are hitting puberty at younger ages because they're getting double the estrogen. Men are either hitting puberty later or not getting as much testosterone or whatever. They're becoming more feminine from a chemical perspective. And obviously when women get that double dose of estrogen, their bodies are developing quicker. And also it's a cultural thing. It's not just a biological thing. Like, you have different female role models and super cool people to the young girls now than you did in the past. The women that are put on a pedestal culturally in America, such as like musicians and actresses, are usually sort of like, not trying to be like too harsh about it, man, but they're kind of like sexual deviants. They're kind of like, you know, you have people like Cardi B and Kardashians and stuff, and it's like young girls are definitely being sexualized chemically and culturally, is my point. And you have the same thing going on here. Anyways, so all the boys become, you just can't tell anymore. No boys and girls anymore. So the real kicker, alright, so how I've talked about Saturn a bunch of times, right? Saturn is Satan, and this is a, I know it sounds crazy, man. People who aren't religious and who don't have any, like, who won't give any fair look at, like, what religious ideas can mean, even if you can't appreciate, like, the historical or literal side of them. Like, there's other ways you can look at those stories, and they are true in a lot of ways. And I think if you look at this stuff long enough, you will come down to, like, those principles, those ideas, like a good versus evil, a God and devil type thing. Anyways, Saturn is the astrological equivalent of Satan. He's known as the black star, the dark star, the black sun. I just think it's funny. None of the kids had stars on them before this. None of them had stars. They were all just wearing pink and blue. There was no stuffed animals, yet all these creepy stuffed animals appeared. So maybe if there was blue stars on them and they all just turned black to make it look like gender neutral, I could be like, okay, I could let it slide. But they went from wearing plain clothes to wearing clothes with designs on them. And there's a reason, I think, they put the black star. And I showed you in my Saturn Symbolism 1, I believe, and if I didn't, I'll show you in a future one, how in ancient Judaic belief, the black sun, the dark star, the black star is Saturn. That's another name for Saturn. When you're looking at, like, solar eclipses in stories and movies, how something bad's always happening during a solar eclipse, it's symbolic, and the black sun, that's Saturn. That's who that is. That's what that is. And this is a Saturnian, this is a satanic agenda, fundamentally. It really is. Take that however you leave it. You know, you don't have to subscribe to that. I think if you study vigilantly enough for long enough, you'll come to that realization also. But you can leave that if you don't care about religious things or whatever, and just think about how weird this commercial is. So they got black stars all over them, black suns, and then the kicker, the classic New Order on the baby shirt. New Order, like the phrase we see thrown around hundreds and hundreds of times in stories, movies. Politicians say it, you know, New Order, it's a new order, it's a new world order. So it's just funny, okay, black star, okay, and now this kid's dressed in black, and he's got New Order written on his shirt. Isn't that cute? As she's smiling and making them all genderless, whatever. And then this is some dumb little joke at the end. She's like, they can't arrest me, I'm Celine Dion, oh my god. So there's that one. Again, man, the demon car one and that one, it's just like, what? How do you sit in there in your living room and you watch that and like you don't? That's how I know people are detached when they watch that stuff, man. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but how you sit there and like view something like that and don't think like, wow, that was kind of freaking weird. Like, people aren't even really thinking about what they're seeing. Some people. I'll keep this one brief. I don't even remember why I include this one. This is a PS3 commercial. It's a baby with the PS3. They're in a cube room, a box room, plain room. You know, the baby sees the PS3, which is a cube, which is the black cube, which is like, it removes us from this reality. A lot of Saturn symbolism in video game and tech companies. And the baby sees the PS3 with fire in his eyes and crying. He's screaming. You know, like the end, I don't even, like he's viewing this black cube that's levitating. He's getting flames in his eyes and he cries. And if you know anything about Saturn too, how Saturn is worshipped classically, look at any culture's Saturnian god, it's through child sacrifice. And there's a number of reasons for that, and I'm not going to get into it in this video because it's already been going on for 30 minutes. But it's just interesting they chose a baby in the black cube. Play Beyond, and the PS3, right? 3's Saturn on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. I could be reading into that, but again, it's just weird, man. Like, how does this make you want a PS3? I feel like there's something else to this. There's a kid, and he laughs he has a weird laugh right here. Like, it's really weird. It's not like a normal baby giggle. It's like a weird clownish laugh. It's just weird. Like how I said, man, what does this have to do with PS3s? What does the other commercial have to do with cars? I feel like they're doing something else with these. Am I weird for saying that? Am I weird for sitting here and being like, okay, what dudes in a room threw this together and think? Because the point of advertising is to make you want to buy it, right? It's not to like. That's what I would think. How does this make you want to get a PS3? Show a baby in a room crying looking at a levitating PS3. I think this is symbolic. Anyways, at the end of the day, man, it's just weird stuff. Let me know what you think. I actually have more commercials I could show you guys, but these are the ones that I included in this compilation of them. Might do Illuminati commercial compilation too at some point, but for now, this is all I have. Let me know what you guys think about any of them, and thank you for watching.